everyone. Welcome to This Just In.
And It's Grim, a bi-weekly series where two friends of 3 decades chat about dark subjects.
Before we begin, you should be warned that our series contains language, themes, and material not suitable for children or sensitive Sallies.
So hide your babies and your boomers, and let's dig in. What a party it is. Hey, welcome back.
Welcome back, everybody.
Yeah,
I was
so what were
thinking a random question.
Yeah.
What would immediately give you red flags that something's not right? Like something that I could say, like a code,
Like
what
if you were kidnapped and you had to send a secret message and I'm like, bitch is kidnapped, we gotta go.
what could I say that would give you immediate red?
Anything that MAGA says, for sure. So anything like homophobic or transphobic of any way, women hating stuff, saying something like pedophiles aren't that bad, something along those lines. I would be like, oh yeah, okay. Or I don't know. Remember I'm not going to name her name because I'm sure we could get sued for that. But like the young lady from our hometown that we were speaking about, the young prostitute woman. If you were like, I had the best conversation with her on Facebook the other night, I'd be like, get the troops. Okay, what about me?
Go to an ICP concert.
Oh yeah. Some ain't right. Some ain't adding up.
Oh my gosh, yeah, pretty much same on all that.
Yeah.
Go to a country, let's go watch Toby Keith or some shit like that.
I got great Toby Keith concert seats.
I don't even know who the fuck that is. I just know is
No. I don't even know. I think did he die? I don't know.
Oh shit.
Sorry, rest in peace. He might be alive and then fuck him. Whatever. But if not, sorry we talked shit on your dead name. Toby,
Yeah.
Mr. Keith. I don't care that much, honestly. We should get into we're doing a rewind, guys. We just wrapped up
rewind.
Yeah, we just wrapped up our 3rd series. Wowza.
On social justice. That one was really, really...
It was. I do like, though, that we got to bring awareness to some issues that are obviously affecting women by and large, let's be honest. In the same month that we got to celebrate women. That was kind of nice, Because we know, like, women history, obviously, it's not always great. Missing and murdered Indigenous women is part of women history. The Me Too movement is part of women history. Those are the dark sides. But women also, maybe even what's sadder is that they're full of so many great stories and heroic acts on behalf of women throughout history, and we don't know them. And that is such a heartbreaking reality. We should know about all the bad against women, but we should also know about all the good that women do, or the things that women do to preserve womankind and being a woman.
Yeah.
And what that means and how important that is.
I think from my just general memory right now from school, I think I remember learning about Joan of Arc and Harriet Tubman.
Rosa Parks.
Yeah, definitely Rosa Parks.
Guys, that's it. Amelia Earhart, maybe.
Yeah.
I
think you'd have to
have an interest in it. Yeah, I agree. I don't think that we talk about women's history enough because women, and I know we don't because there's a whole bunch of young men that are online right now making videos about how women have never accomplished anything and how they've never invented anything and men have built this world. And I just laugh because I know that's not true. I know there are thousands of women that contributed to all of our advances in technology, engineering, our world economy, our United States economy. I mean, you guys, women haven't not been here and not doing the damn thing. It's just when they do the damn thing, a lot of times nobody pays attention or it's not elevated to the same place as when a man does something.
Yeah. So have you heard about Jack Black's mom?
No.
And what she did? So
oh, wait, I think I do know this.
Whenever she was giving birth to him, she was still engineering for NASA.
Yeah.
And like, doing codes and, like, all
and,
kinds
like,
of crazy shit.
helping some kind of space, issue, like, "Houston, we have a problem" issue, right? Whenever she went into labor. Yeah.
And so it says here that in addition to her engineering work, she is also an author and a publisher, and she worked on the Hubble Space Telescope and the Minuteman missile, having graduated from the University of Southern California Engineering School.
Mhm.
So
I mean, it was a woman that took out not obviously in person, like, there was a group of men that physically took Osama bin Laden out, but who do you think orchestrated that entire operation? It was a woman. It was a woman that dedicated years to finding him, tracking him down, and making sure that we got him with little casualties. And that's what happened.
because that's what happens whenever you let women do things. They do things thoughtfully. Yeah. A lot of passion, like insane amount of tenacity, just unrelenting. Like every woman that I know is like when a pit bull like hits their fucking like teeth into something,
Yep.
they just don't fucking like we
No.
don't drop shit for nothing.
No. 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 You need something done? You call me, girl, you know. This bitch will fly there to show the fuck up. And you're the same way. And
Yeah.
all my women friends and all of the women in my life are the exact same way. Especially when it comes to anything they care about, whether that's their work, their passions, their children or families or partner, that man, don't get in their way.
So for
Mhm.
the Me Too movement, do you
Yeah.
think that like changed accountability or just made like things more aware, people more aware of what was going on?
I hope it made people more aware. I mean, that's the hope. I think it had to have, because it was such a viral moment, and everyone was paying attention to the internet at that time closely because of what was going on in a lot of different spaces, not just with me too. So I think a lot of people did see it, and I think that maybe there is a little bit more of an understanding of like how bad the problem is. But do I think generally, and I'm not saying everyone, but generally, do I think that people care about those issues? Not when it matters, if I'm being really honest.
Especially like thinking about things that are happening right now politically. And like we were able to prosecute like say Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, but like if you think about how many times they had appeals and how many times like they've gotten away with shit
Yeah,
for so fucking long. And thinking about what's happening with the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing, and it's like these people are not gonna get prosecuted. Like,
no.
I really don't think they are, and
And you wish that everyone would be accountable, no matter who that is, no matter who it is. I don't
yeah,
care what kind of celebrity they are. I don't care if they were a politician. I don't care if they had a lot of money or no money. I don't care if they came from another country. If they're part of a really famous royal family. I really don't give a shit. Get them all and do something about it. Anything less is spitting in the face of the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein. That's how I feel
I
about
know,
it. And it's
yeah,
sad because I think that they're getting so lost in all of this. And you guys, none of this would matter if it wasn't for the survivors. If it wasn't for the survivors, there wouldn't have been crimes committed. So they need to matter more than any of it. And they don't. I mean, that's what's sad to me. It's like it's all about it's being used on both sides, mind you. It's being used as like political ploys. And it's sad because that's not it's not something to play with, especially publicly, nationally, and internationally when these survivors are sitting there and they just want to see justice done. I just don't see how that's
yeah.
fair.
And I can also really understand why victims, they are at the point where they're just like, "I don't wanna bother," where they like, what happened happened, and they really wanna separate themselves from that
Mhm.
so much that they're just like, fucking, like, "Hey, leave me alone about it." They don't say anything about it, but I just hope if anybody's listening and if anything, has happened, we don't discriminate. If you don't talk about it, if you don't tell anybody, in a perfect world, we'd be able to report it and they would find the people and they would bring them to justice. But whenever you feel like that you could go through these years of like investigations and trials and
And
all of this, and it's dragged out for it to not even fucking result in anything. Like, it's extremely, like, extremely hard.
and your trauma is played on a chessboard?
Yeah,
That's not okay.
yeah, I completely understand, but those who do tell and they do, report up, you're very, very brave.
Yep. And hopefully, you do see something happen. Hopefully, you are not the case that is being, brushed under the rug or not taken seriously. Like, hopefully, you are, given the respect and
Yeah,
dignity during that situation because that is tough. And I mean, same kind of goes for really like, the Real Monsters of Hollywood stuff, kind of fits all into that narrative too. And, I know that it's like it was perpetuated a lot of, against a lot of like up and coming actresses, celebrities, or whoever. But like, that doesn't mean that, that can't happen to anybody else, any other in
yeah,
any other industry, as we know, like we've seen the statistics, like the hospitality industry, every industry is fraught. I mean, the military is fraught with its own kind of number of sexual assaults. And I mean, it's just, I feel like if enough people cared, it wouldn't be the problem that it is. But
yeah,
nobody truly cares. And that's the sad, unfortunate truth of it. Because if we cared, then those numbers wouldn't be as high as they are. That's it. There wouldn't be like, what was it, over 20,000 untested rape kits in the country. We would not have those high, maybe a couple hundred, but that's a lot of people not giving a shit, you know.
you know,
And that's the only
and
time you
that's
do good is people got to care. That's the only time things change. You're only going to see change is if people give a shit.
yeah.
Otherwise, change won't happen. Bottom line, it won't.
I definitely feel like there would be like, a lot less crimes if, like, men were, like, you feel comfortable calling out other men. Like, I know that there are men out there
Sure.
that will get in another dude's face and be like, "You're a fucking piece of shit. Don't
Yeah.
fucking do that." But every dude, I think, has a friend that's done some weird, shady shit,
Mm-hmm.
and you gotta fucking call them out. I don't know if any dudes will be listening to this, but call out your bros.
Call out
Yeah,
college bros. Or at least, if you don't want to get into some kind of altercation or you're afraid of that situation, talk to it.
yeah,
And it sucks. And like, I don't want you doing that anymore. We're not going to be friends. And I will have something to
yeah,
say about it. Maybe find out what's going on with them. Maybe they've got some issue that which not, that it's a good excuse, but maybe they've got something that you can help them get help with.
yeah.
And at the very least prevent some young lady from getting violated against or young man from getting violated against. So, yeah.
And I feel like there is a lot more men talking about their sexual assaults now, and I I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, it's horrific that it's happening to them. It's happening to anybody,
right.
but I do feel very hopeful about them feeling comfortable talking about what's happened to them. It
Yeah.
doesn't make you, yeah, any less of a man. It doesn't make you gay. It doesn't fucking make you
Nope.
dirty, unclean, used, nothing. It's something that happened to you,
Mhm.
and there's plenty of people that have gone through the same thing that they're willing to talk to you and hear you. And if
And
there is
there are
anybody that,
resources out there. If,
yeah,
not necessarily the police or getting the courts involved because we get why you wouldn't, obviously. But they're outside of that space. There's still resources. There should be in your community, like victims advocacy services where you can find therapy and you can just talk to somebody about it. And that way, maybe even to talk about a stranger might be easier instead of involving your friends and family in case it's somebody that they know, you know? But to talk is like where we're at with it, I think is like just if it's happened, talk to somebody and know that you don't have to do anything about it necessarily if that's not what you want to do, if you're not comfortable with that. But the more people talk about it, the more we get to really see what those numbers are, and then we can combat it,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So, but also, if you don't want to say anything about it, totally understand that too. And that's your right. It's your trauma. You don't have to relive it at any point. So, does it help the whole
Help
system? Sure, it does. But that doesn't mean that you have to bare your soul about it either.
it either. Yeah. I think like
Yeah.
when it comes to the all of the ones that we've talked about this season, so we've talked about the Me Too movement, Real Monsters of Hollywood, the missing murdered Indigenous women, and then also Satanic Panic. And for missing and murdered Indigenous women, I think out of all of these,
Yeah.
they're the ones that are still going to be overlooked, and they're the ones who have fallen through the cracks the most,
Yeah, 100%.
and I feel like has the most like chances of it continuing, really,
Yeah.
because they still have such like poverty-stricken communities, and the people who are policing those areas, I mean, if there is any,
Sure,
because I
right.
think for our research, we found that
There's not a
FBI
lot.
that really look into the crimes on those
They're
lands.
supposed to,
They're supposed to,
but
yeah.
they don't. And so it's left to the police that work with the different nations depending on who it is. But there's over a little over 2,000 of them across all of tribal lands, and they handle all law enforcement on tribal lands. So that means like if somebody does wire fraud, they're handling it on top of a murder, on top of a missing kid, on top of a speeding violation. They handle all of it. So they're just like bogged down with limited resources is what we found. And also, I can't help but really when I was thinking about it, like after we did, the episode wrapped or whatever, I was thinking really long and hard about it and how a lot of what you hear from reservations is a lot of trauma. And I can't help but think like how much generational trauma have these people endured and how much is that playing a part into the how they live today. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like having high rates of alcoholism, high rates of depression and domestic violence. And I can't help but think like that has to have to do with like generational trauma being passed down and like post traumatic stress disorder as associated with that, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine that there isn't some of that that has just been passed down because of the epidemic of missing people, of murdered people, of land rights and colonization. Like, I mean, I can't help but think that like, well, no shit. No shit they're in the kind of state that they're at sometimes because we've given them so much trauma to dish out to each other at this point, and that's fucking sad. Yeah. I don't know. I was thinking about that. I was like, man, I wonder if you took out some of that trauma, w- what what those lands would look like today, what the schools would look like, how far advanced would Native people be within their own right if like residential schools never happened, Like that's what I think about. It's just sad. It was the hardest part of this whole season, I think, was the missing and murdered indigenous women. Yeah. Yeah. And especially that it happens like everywhere. Way more places than I expected to find. So, it really is and it's a problem everywhere it is. It's a problem, you know.
Yeah, for
And then
sure.
satanic panic. So, satanic panic. What a whirlwind for our country to have gone through that. Like, could you imagine somebody going up to you and being like, so, I heard that at your house you bake children into candies and you sell them. And I know it's you do it by moonlight on the 30th of every month or whatever it is. And
Yeah.
you're a witch and you believe in the devil and I'm calling the cops. And then, okay, that would be crazy enough. But then you get brought into the police station and the cops ask you about it. Like, and what was it? 12,000 people got pulled into, like, and questioned about satanic ritual, child sacrifice, satanic Satanism, blah. What? What?
But one of the things that I did want to kind of talk about is
Yeah.
how the whole concept. So, Satanic Panic, that was, obviously combined hysteria, but like actual satanic cults that people kind of like overlook. And I think one of the things that I wanted to kind of satanic cults,
Yeah.
and they're called like the 764. Have you heard of
Okay.
that? Okay.
No.
So it's like basically a group of kids that cyber blackmail other kids.
Okay.
And so they will host like videos. So they'll exploit these kids, record yourself, cutting my name into your arm, or,
Okay.
like
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
sexual
I've
stuff.
heard of stuff like that online. I didn't know what the name of them was, but, like, I've kind of heard of that, like, activity, you know?
Yeah, like, I feel like there's just branches kinda go out, like, because we both know, like, the actual satanic religion is nothing to
No,
do with any of this at all.
it isn't. It doesn't
It's it's
they
very
don't do any kind of some baby sacrifices or and
yeah,
God, they don't yeah, and they don't even believe in the Christian Satan. They don't worship that. They don't believe in Christianity whatsoever. So to them, God, the devil, all of that is all made up to them. Like actual practicing Satanists, they just don't believe that that's true. So they wouldn't be worshiping something that they don't believe actually exists in the first place, from what I understand.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think that it's, through some of the research that we've done for some of the other topics that we've recorded so far, and then also for this one, how we think that things are history, but it's still fucking happening,
Yeah,
like right now. Like
it
there's
is.
still crazy fucking cults. There's still fucking like hate.
And there's still people screaming online that there's devil worshippers eating babies. That's today. I bet I could go on someone's post on Rumble right now and it would be somewhere. They're talking about Satan worshiping, Clinton loving liberals eating children, So,
Yeah,
yeah, people really truly believe that. So it takes all kinds. No, I'm just kidding,
it
guys.
does. I mean, the world's a crazy place.
It is.
Honestly would not. I mean, if somebody says something, I'm just like, okay, I really could care less about trying to argue. Like,
Okay.
yeah, I'm not shocked by
No,
anything. I'm not gonna argue with
no.
anybody. I'm just like, all right, dude, that's fine. That's what you believe.
Well, this is my place to bitch about stuff. And that I get off my chest here and I'm good.
Yeah. I
Suggest
highly
everyone get
suggest
a source to vent to, like write in a journal, make a little video, you don't got to argue with complete strangers online though to get that point across. Like in fact, I just say what I want on here and then I don't have to deal with anybody. I don't really care if anybody wants to argue with me. I ain't doing it unless you show up for one of our lives. I will gladly argue with you. I'd be happy to.
absolutely.
But can we touch on before we wrap this? Can we touch on a couple things? One, how fun it was to do those 3 pop-up episodes. And
And two, what our next series is or season. I'm trying to get it in there. I'm very lost on what our next season is, to be honest. So,
I'm prepared today. So I'll
yay.
tell them real quick. Okay, so we can get that out of the way, and then we can talk about how fun those episodes were. So our next series, guys, is Criminal Organization Hate Group Series 1. And we are starting it off with the Westboro Baptist Church. So so we have 4 hate groups. I'm not going to tell you what all of them are. We will tell you the first one is Westboro Baptist, WBC. And the last one is a real doozy. That's all that I'm going to tell you about, though. Yeah. And that first episode will be uploaded next week. Yeah, that's right. We got it. We got this.
Totally aware of what's going
Sure. I have it
on.
here. I got it. I mean, I'm sort of paying attention. I am writing notes down, if you guys can't tell. This is completely off fun cuff.
I
Like,
wrote
I
the
write
one
shit.
question that I asked you,
And that was it?
what would I
Yeah.
call and ask you or say that would give you immediate red flags?
Yeah. That was a good one. No, I love it. Like I made sure to pull up our doc, our main doc, so that I could see what the hell we're doing here. But no, it's been completely off the cuff. So guys, this is how we do it. This is how we do.
We're just rambling.
We
But
are.
for bonus episodes, I really enjoyed that.
Me too.
We shared there was Nellie Bly, there was Noor and Yat Khan,
Yep.
then
The
the
Night
other one.
Witches.
That Night Witches. That was so much fun.
They were fun. Yeah, like if you
Yeah.
guys ever want us to do like, you know, just a little kind of blurb about any topic, we're pretty much down to dive into any of them. Don't know if we'll make it a full episode. I mean, if we find enough information about something to make something a full episode, we're always down. So we're
Yeah.
open to suggestions always. But if you guys ever want like, hey, just do a quick little episode on really anyone.
One. It could even be like your buddy. Mm-hmm. We'll talk shit about your friend. Gosh, have you heard of that guy that like calls people with bad news and he just records it and makes videos? Like, hey, I'm Dave, calls with bad news or something. And then
Yeah.
he just like, hey, this person's in that. And it's just, oh my God.
I know. He's like, sorry, bud. He's very matter of fact about it. She just didn't want to date you anymore. Yeah, I've seen it. Those are funny.
God.
Yeah, if you want us to call your friend and give them bad news or break up with your boyfriend for you or your husband, I don't care. I'll make that call if I can record it.
Yeah, that would be something.
This random chick on the internet called me up and gave me the most terrible news. My wife of 40 years is leaving me and taking the dog. Sorry, Bruce. She don't love you no more. Okay, I guess we could. No, it was fun though. Okay, it was fun.
Yeah.
Let's get this back on track. I don't know why I'm being so silly. The Night Witches were badass, total badasses. Noor Khan is like just super spy. And I loved that like everyone always described her as being like kind of meek and timid and quiet. And so for her to just be this like undercover badass, like I loved it. And Nellie Bly, I've always loved her. So yeah. She did a lot of cool shit.
I think that's why like women really excel in a lot of areas is because they just really put their honesty,
Mhm.
into what they're doing. Like
Yeah.
they can disguise themselves really well, but also just going through and, being themselves.
Mhm.
It's kind of like a testament to how many women are just overlooked and dismissed and
Yeah.
not assumed to be a threat.
Right.
And
We're
that's
threats.
why I'm pretty sure that there's so many more women serial killers than we actually know about.
We should do a whole season on women serial killers, but
We
not the
should.
typical ones. Not like Eileen Warnos. Not to say that like she didn't have her numbers or whatever. I'm not
Yeah.
saying I'm not trying to shit on Eileen Warnos, but like I definitely think that there's some ladies that not a lot of people know about that were serial killers.
Yeah. I remember you were telling me about watching this documentary about this lady that was taking out babies, I think. You remember? Yeah, I ended up watching that.
Brutal, huh? Or like the nurses that take out like hundreds of patients. Like those are some numbers. You talk about Bundy having numbers, like a nurse will take out like 500 before she gets caught. You know what I'm saying? Like that needs to be in the Guinness book or something. I don't know.
Yeah, just putting a bubble in a line or something like fucking.
Yeah, like guys, we'll take the bad history too. Like we understand women are very complex people just like men are. Like we have our bad history too. We're not saying women don't. Trust me, they fucking do. I know a lot about it actually, and we'll talk more about it as the episodes progress. I think that just it definitely speaks to how women as a whole have been
Have been kind of
because even the bad news you don't really know about. Like, you don't know about the woman in London that was like killing babies in mass. Like, literally dozens and dozens and dozens of babies got killed by this woman. You should know her name. Like, you should know her name just as well as you know Charles Manson or Ted Bundy or John Wayne Gacy or whatever other serial killer, you know, Jeffrey Dahmer, whatever other killer you should know her name. But because all women history is typically subverted, you don't know about any of this stuff, generally,
Yeah.
you know? Like, there were women that did a lot more flying than like Amelia Earhart ever did and like broke more records, but like for some reason she's the only one we hear about. I'm not saying Amelia Earhart wasn't a badass, doesn't deserve her flowers, she absolutely does, but like she wasn't the only one up there,
Yeah.
you know. Any chance we get to dive into a little bit more of those ladies and kind of from any part of history, I think me and Amy both would be more than happy. 'Cause those were
For
fun.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess unless you have anything to add, I don't.
Is all.
Well, you guys, if you have any questions and you need some answers, then you should go to this just in and it's grim.com and you might be able to find them there. Maybe. I don't know. Send us an email if you can't and we'll try to answer it ourselves. Bye.